of a temporary building that really sanitary-wise had left a lot to be desired, since the coal bin was in the front entrance and that we used to fuel the burner. But Saturday, leaving there, coming out across the field, and then meeting the band at the end of the field, and the band would lead the team up to the field. And what was always unique about that was that we had metal cleats. And so the metal cleats on the pavement was like this rhythmic beat that just seemed to generate more and more adrenaline as you got to the field, and especially when you went up those steps. That was, and the steps themselves were a memorial to, what, 38 people who were killed during the Second World War. So all of it had some significance in the process. And were we truly aware of it at that time? Probably not.
Well, you had a feeling, though.
But you really had a feeling.
I always thought of, and I've told people this before. In fact, a couple years ago, when they changed the helmet colors to blue, I got all over Jimmy Mansell. I said, "What are you doing?" And he said, "What do you mean?" I said, "The gold helmet. You know, as a kid, you're waiting to get that gold helmet on. Unless you're B.J. Long, you get the
Another helmet.
But, you know, I said, "What are you doing?" That's, you know, as kids, we wanted that.
Oh, jerseys.
Yeah.
And then you had practices. Of course, it was on the cinder field behind the high school, which actually was during
Jim Smithfield, by the way.
Yeah. but during the early years, that was a football field. That really was an 80-yard football field.
Really?
Yep. And so one of our coaches actually played on the team that played on that field. So, and there were two big telephone poles. That's why we knew, because the cross arms for the field goal were part of part of the field. But what was unique about that field was when you were making the decision: did I want to go out for the offensive line or defensive line, or did I want to go out for the backs? I looked around, and the backs were always in the semi-grassy area with no cinders on this side, and the linemen always seemed to be in the cinder section. I went, I'm a back.
Well, I was told Danny Hofflinger, I said, "You guys had it easy in linemen, because when it got cold, you were able to play down there where you just had dumped those warm ashes from the furnace, and we're up at where it was really cold, but it was a nasty situation down there."
And I guess the other thing, Bob, then you feel, and Jim mentioned this, walking up before the game, the band was playing, and you're walking on that road, and the cleats were clanking away, and people were standing on your left and on your right and cheering you on, and you walked up and you ran onto the field. There was a certain expectation that went through you that says, gotta play good today, gotta play good today, gotta play good today.
I tell people to this day, because, I mean, unfortunately now it's a little, you know, the perspective of athletics is a little different, because people are working 6-7 days a week, so you don't get the crowd you get. But the town used to close down. Stores would close on Main Street. This place was packed, and then, you know, there wasn't too many other teams, so, you know, people from all over the place.
Well, there was no girls athletics to speak of it at all, and so that was it. That was the only game in town at the time.
And it was a blue collar town. You know, our fathers worked in the mill. You know, and that was the day where they could have some fun. Hopefully, we forgot to provide it, or not. But it was good.
And I haven't been to Butler downtown, but I remember Levine's and Benford, not Benford, 5 and 10 stuff. I'm sure none of that existed.
No, Levine's is just a big empty building.
Yep. But the other end of town, where the factory software mill is now, all condo.
And there's new stores.
New stores below it, not all occupied as big, but they're cleaning up the face of a lot of the stores too.
They're starting to do some work on it.
So it's a
But this
work in
facility,
progress.
this facility is a nice facility now.
This right here, where was it? Oh, the football facility.
Well, yes, this is nicer than we
Thank
had.
God.
They could have done a few things here.
Spring of the year in the old gym, which is now the band room for the high school, and put your back against the wall as a catcher, and the pitcher would push off on the far wall because we weren't quite the length of the pitching mound, and you had to become a good catcher because if you missed the ball, it hit you in the back of the head. So
They
it
go
was,
fastballs with no lighting hardly.
yeah, that's right. No lighting. Heaven forbid somebody threw a
I
curve.
hated
That was-
practicing in that situation. I hated coaching it. Just couldn't see.
And probably even worse yet with the guys who hadn't played basketball there, because it was a layup through
To
a
go from the
door.
locker room to that basketball court, you had to go through this
Tunnel.
narrow tunnel. My God. it
One
was-
light.
It was good. And we had a good basketball team too. You guys had a good basketball team that year.
And then the highlight of all of every practice was the well.
Oh, yeah.
There's a house.
House that did just tore down?
I'm not sure. But then there was a house next door, and the gentleman who owned the house had this hand pump well, and you always had a coffee can.
Yes, in this day and age, where everybody has to have their own bottle. 60 guys
You would
fighting
pump
for
it,
this thing.
you would drink it, share it, pass it on, pass it on, pass it on. So we never had water bottles. It was strictly an old coffee can and a hand pump well.
Sat around.
And when you were talking about the uniforms, you were talking about the uniforms, and I don't know how we didn't die. I mean, with the mesh and everything.
Oh, the mesh helmets. The mesh helmets were just a nylon mesh webbing, and somebody attached plastic to it. That was the helmet. And so if you got hit, it definitely ran. It was definitely a ringing sound.
Yeah, we were on the cutting edge of mouthpieces. They were optional.
The mouthpieces were
They
optional.
fitted them. It was like plaster.
Hurt your teeth.
Well, even face guards were optional. I mean, by our senior year, everybody had
I remember
them.
Tony Hoffler lost.
One bar.
I remember when Tony Hoffler lost all his teeth in a scrimmage because his mom was a tough lady. And he goes to me, Jonesy, what's my teeth look like? Oh, Tony, Mary is not going to be happy. They were broken off right up the gum. But, it was a whole different world then.